From a small lion cub behind the glass of a London department store, to a free lion whose legacy lives forever.
Before we begin, subscribe for more unforgettable true stories.
In 1969, inside London's famous Harrods Department Store, a tiny lion cub waited behind glass. Among hundreds of visitors, two strangers stopped for just a moment, and that single moment would change 3 lives forever. Hello, little one.
Look at him.
He's sniffing us.
Yeah, he is.
He's putting his paw up. For reasons no one could explain, Christian seemed far more interested in these two strangers than anyone else. A sheet of glass separated them. But somehow, trust had already begun to grow. Excuse me, could you tell us about the cub?
We're really interested.
The more they learned about the little cub, the harder it became to simply walk away.
The transition must be handled with extreme care to ensure the cub's well-being.
It's not just a matter of releasing him, he needs rehab. He remembers us.
Look how happy he is.
Just look at that tail go. All right, this is it.
Yes. He's coming home with us.
Sirs, I'm ready when you are. The papers are all in order.
Good, he looks ready.
Would you like me to open the enclosure? Christian trusted the hands that cared for him. Unaware, they were leading him toward a new family. Leaving Harrods was not an ending. It was the beginning of the adventure that would make history. All right, easy does it.
Just a bit more. There we go.
Watch the little fella. He's taking it all in. Every mile carried Christian farther from his old life and closer to the people who already loved him. This simple apartment would soon become the home of one of the world's most remarkable friendships. Christian had entered a completely new world, and every corner invited another discovery. Look at him exploring. He's really taking it all in.
Narrator.
To Christian, everything felt new. On his very first night, Christian no longer felt like a lonely cub. He had finally found a family. Christian's first full day with his new family began with comfort, curiosity, and complete trust. Every meal strengthened more than Christian's body. It strengthened the bond they were building together. To Christian, every corner of the apartment was another exciting adventure waiting to be discovered. The little lion who once lived behind glass had finally found people who simply wanted him to be happy. Even his own reflection became another mystery for the curious young cub. For the first time, Christian felt real grass beneath his paws instead of polished floors. Every new scent awakened instincts that had always been part of who Christian was. To John and Ace, Christian was never just a lion. He had already become family. Simple evenings together quietly built a friendship that would soon inspire millions around the world. Christian had finally found what every young cub dreams of: a place where he truly belonged.
Enjoying the story? Subscribe to support more documentaries like this.
As Christian grew stronger, so did the responsibility of caring for him. The apartment hadn't become smaller. Christian had simply become bigger.
He's so big now.
I know, look at him, he just keeps growing.
Keep going, Chris.
Isn't he magnificent? Look at him.
He's incredible.
He loves being out here. Deep inside Christian, the instincts of a wild lion were beginning to awaken. Every walk through London reminded people that Christian was unlike anything they had ever seen. Wherever Christian appeared, curiosity was always followed by admiration. News of the remarkable young lion quickly spread across London. We knew this day would come.
He's just too big for this place now.
Yes, love was never the problem, space was.
The fame will pass.
Yes, but he needs a home.
We'll find one, I promise.
He's loved. He'll be okay. Every day made one truth impossible to ignore. Christian was outgrowing the life they could offer. The tiny cub's playful voice had slowly become the powerful call of a growing lion. For the first time, John and Ace began searching for a future that truly belonged to Christian. They believed this protected wilderness could offer Christian the future he deserved.
So this area here is where we focus our rehabilitation.
The closer Christian came to adulthood, the harder their decision became. They treasured every ordinary moment because they knew nothing would ever be the same again. Every item we packed carried memories, but only one thing truly mattered: Christian's future. The journey ahead would ask them to make the greatest sacrifice of all, letting Christian become what he was always meant to be. Christian trusted them completely, even though he had no idea where the journey would lead. With every passing mile, Christian moved farther from the only home he had ever known. This place was unlike anything Christian had ever seen. Open skies, fresh air, and room to grow. Freedom wasn't something Christian understood yet, but he could already feel it. No fence could ever weaken the bond they had built together. For the first time in his life, Christian experienced the peaceful rhythm of the natural world. Everyone who met Christian recognized something extraordinary within him. Some moments become unforgettable simply because everyone knows they cannot last forever. Their goodbye was not the end of the story. It was only the beginning of Christian's greatest adventure. Christian had left England behind. Ahead of him stretched the only place a lion could truly call home. Every scent, every sound, every step became another lesson written by nature itself. Everything around Christian was unfamiliar, yet somehow it all felt strangely familiar. George understood that the greatest teacher would never be a human. It would always be the wild. For the first time, Christian realized he was no longer alone. Acceptance in the wild would never come quickly. It had to be earned with patience. Christian wasn't trying to join them. He was learning how to become one of them. Each sunset carried Christian farther away from his old life and closer to the one nature had prepared for him. Christian had finally reached Africa, but becoming truly wild had only just begun. Every sunrise taught Christian another lesson that no human ever could. Before every successful hunter comes a patient observer. The wilderness belonged to every creature, and Christian was learning to respect its balance. For the first time, Christian looked across a world that truly belonged to lions. Sometimes, the most important meetings begin in complete silence. Trust in the wild is never given. It is earned one peaceful step at a time. With time, Christian became increasingly comfortable among Africa's wild lions. Without words, they had already begun understanding each other. Christian had finally found something he had never known before: companionship in the wild. Christian had found his place in Africa, but destiny still had one unforgettable surprise waiting ahead. Months became seasons, and Christian was no longer learning to survive. He had become part of the wild itself. Nature no longer felt unfamiliar. It had become Christian's everyday life. The frightened cub from London had become a confident lion of Africa. Peace had quietly replaced uncertainty. Months of patient observation showed that Christian was adapting successfully to life in the wild. Sometimes, memory returns not through sight, but through a familiar scent carried by the wind. After several years, the visitors returned, hoping to see Christian once again.
Christian is completely wild now. Nothing can be expected.
No one knew whether Christian would remember them, or simply disappear into the wild forever. Across the endless savanna, two worlds prepared to meet once again. After years apart, everything depended on one unforgettable moment. Recognition doesn't always happen in an instant. Sometimes it returns one careful step at a time. John understood that trust could never be demanded. It had to return on its own. The years had changed Christian's appearance, but they had never erased his memories. In a single heartbeat, uncertainty quietly became recognition. In complete silence, recognition quietly returned. I can't believe it.
It's really you.
After all this time, Christian had not forgotten where he came from, nor where he now belonged. Some friendships are never measured by time, only by love and loyalty. A world would remember this reunion forever, because it proved that true love is never forgotten. Nothing needed to be proven anymore. Christian had shown them exactly who he had become. Some reunions last only moments, yet remain unforgettable for generations. The lion they had once raised no longer needed protection, only freedom. Love sometimes means letting go, while knowing the bond will never disappear. Their paths separated once again, but the memory remained forever. Christian watched them leave, knowing they had given him the greatest gift of all. Christian's life continued, not as a memory, but as part of the living wilderness. The wilderness had quietly accepted Christian as one of its own. Christian's remarkable journey was far from over, because the greatest legacy was only beginning.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Seasons came and went, and Christian continued living exactly as nature had intended. Life in the wild was quietly moving forward, preparing another extraordinary chapter. Soon, Christian's story would become much larger than his own. The little cub who had once searched for a family had finally become a father. The love Christian had once received was now being passed to the next generation. Christian was no longer walking alone. Every step now guided the future of his family. Just as Christian had once learned through experience, his cubs would learn the same way. Protecting his family had quietly become Christian's greatest instinct. The frightened cub from London had become a guardian of the African wilderness. Christian's greatest adventure was no longer about survival. It was about the family and legacy he would leave behind. A true leader always walks last, making sure everyone else arrives safely first. The strongest lions are often remembered for their patience rather than their power. Every journey away from his family ended exactly where Christian wanted to be, back beside them. Home was no longer a place. It was the family waiting for him. The lion who once searched for belonging had become the guardian of his own kingdom. Every new day became another beautiful memory written across the African plains. Every generation must discover the wild through its own experience. Every day became another peaceful chapter in Christian's life. Christian's journey had become far greater than one lion. It had become a timeless story of love, trust, and freedom. A year had quietly passed, and Christian's family had grown stronger with every sunrise. The lessons Christian once learned through patience were now shaping the next generation. Every peaceful day became another lesson that only nature could teach. The greatest teachers rarely speak. They simply lead by example. Christian no longer searched for a place in the wild. He had built one. Everything Christian did now carried one purpose: protecting the family that depended on him. No victory meant more to Christian than returning safely to the ones he loved. Even in complete silence, the wilderness carried Christian's story forward. Every new dawn reminded Christian that the greatest journeys are the ones we continue living every single day. Time had transformed Christian from a rescued cub into the proud leader of his own family. The cubs no longer followed Christian's footprints. They were beginning to walk beside him. The greatest moments in life are often the quietest ones. Christian's greatest legacy was never fame. It was the family walking beside him. Every footprint they left behind became another part of Africa's timeless story. Another peaceful day came to an end across the African wilderness. Christian never walked alone again, because love had become part of every step he took. Christian's story had become something far greater than one lion. It had become a legacy that would inspire the world forever. Years had passed, but Christian's greatest achievement was the family walking beside him. The frightened cub from London had become the quiet leader of a thriving pride. Every day in the wild reminded Christian that true strength protects rather than controls. Peace had become the reward for every difficult step that brought Christian home. The wilderness no longer tested Christian. It trusted him. Life continued peacefully across the African plains. Watching the next generation move forward became Christian's greatest reward. Long after the footprints faded, the story continued across the living wilderness. Some stories become history, but Christian's story became hope. 5 years had passed, and Christian had become one of Africa's true kings. Every peaceful morning reflected the life Christian had always deserved. The frightened cub from London had become completely one with the African wilderness. The African wilderness had become Christian's true home. Every horizon reminded Christian how far his extraordinary journey had taken him. Home was never a place for Christian. It was the family walking beside him. The greatest journey of Christian's life was never about where he came from, but about the family he created. Although Christian disappeared into the wilderness, his remarkable story would never disappear from the hearts of those who heard it. From a small lion cub behind the glass of a London department store, to a free lion whose legacy lives forever.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more inspiring true stories.